Hey friends, welcome to Tea Time with Amie and Bev. Hello, hello.
Hello. It didn't show up on my side. Usually it shows up that I have to hit got it or whatever for the recording to start, but I heard it say a recording started. That's why I was kind of puzzled that's why I wasn't responding.
Like, where's the button I'm supposed to push? Yes,
Exactly.
We're live right now. We're recording.
Awesome. So good afternoon, good morning. Hello.
Hello, good evening, wherever you are at this moment as you watch us, whether it's live or with the recording. We appreciate you being here with us as we come and bring our knowledge and wisdom that we have based on our life experiences and share them with you. So thanks for being here.
Thank you. How are you doing? You've been busy.
Busy, yes. So when you go on vacation, you need a vacation from vacation. So I am been gone for 10 days and got a little stuffiness. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's just like an allergy thing from where I was in Wisconsin, but it's getting better. But yeah, now I'm working on playing catch up because while I was gone, and I do get to do a shout out because this is our podcast. While I was gone, we did our official book launch for Overcoming Mediocrity, Limitless Women, and check it out.
Nice. I love it.
Number one, Amazon bestseller. So I'm putting stickers on the books and autographing them and getting them ready to ship out for those that ordered. And then I also have some I have to, personally deliver. But yes, been just catching up on business stuff and doing the things.
I love it.
Yeah, what a ride.
It's only just begun.
Do what?
It's only just begun.
Exactly. And it was an emotional roller coaster for a bit. When the book launched, the amount of intense exposure that was needed on our part as the autographers, as the authors, to, and we're talking about all kinds of platforms that we were on to get this book to number one. So yeah, a lot of effort on all of our parts. And there's 20 authors plus our facilitator and publisher. And so it was busy for a couple days. It launched on Thursday and we hit number one on Saturday.
That's awesome.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
It's like, whew. When I saw that we hit number one, I threw my phone down on the table. I was at a birthday party with the family and it jumped up and was hooting and hollering and everybody was looking at me like I was crazy. And I was like, we just did it. Yes, we did. So
that was good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Appreciate
it. That's awesome.
Yeah. What have you been up to?
Working. Same old, I say same old, but it's never the same old, really.
That's a habit, right? It's a habit to say that.
It is the habit to say that. So, and that goes to the next thing. Freeman and I were just talking yesterday and how, we ask somebody how they're doing, like, how are you doing? And they're like, oh, well, my wife's doing great. And, we don't answer the questions because we don't, I feel like sometimes we don't even check in with ourselves and see how we're doing. Oh, how you doing? Oh, I just got a puppy and everything is going good. Not even really kind of addressing self. And then it makes me think, is it because they don't really address self? They don't feel like that they matter? Are they not checking in with themselves? And I have been one of those people too. So it's like, it's been a great conversation. And then sometimes people are just really doing it to deflect. They don't want to talk about themselves. They just don't think that anything's good or that there's anything good to talk about, or maybe they're even worthy of having a conversation about themselves.
Right. And I see that in I can see that in many different ways. One, how many times have you heard it doesn't help to complain because nobody wants to hear it? So even
Yeah.
if you're not doing well, you don't want to share that because that's been a common statement. Something else is people don't want to share their personal stuff that they're going through. They don't want to be vulnerable. One thing also is when somebody is doing low, so as an example, let's say I'm doing really good. I hit #1 bestseller on my book. Business is flourishing. All these great things are happening, but Bev's having a rough time. And I don't share all these wonderful things because I feel if I share all those wonderful things, it's going to have a negative effect on her. So I don't share my excitement. Right. So there's different avenues that can happen when you ask that question, how are you doing? And just recognizing that it's really based on what their belief system is as to what they want to share. Does this person really want to know what's going on with me? Do they even really care? Would they even take the time to sit and talk to me? If I'm having a great life and they're not, how is that going to affect them? Right. So it's just like this crazy, it's just the craziness of conversation within ourselves when we don't answer that question.
And just an awareness too. I think a lot of times people don't even have an awareness how they're answering something, really how they're having a conversation. And gosh, for me, once I recognize that, it's like, wait a minute, how am I doing? So it's like really checking in with myself. And for me, it's like even if you're if things are going so great for me all the time, well, that's just the way it is. You know what I mean? That's just the way it is. It's just going great, but it's for me to be in a higher vibration, even still, which we've talked about, just to still stand in that high vibration. Maybe I'm not discussing all those things about myself, but I'm still in a high vibration, because that's a high. I mean, to me, that you're on that's a high vibration that you're on anyways. And it's just making sure to honor self, honor yourself and make sure that you're getting the rest and the nutrients and all that stuff. Cause it's a lot. Just thinking about your experience right now and traveling this time, you've been gone for 10 days. So it's like, that can be a lot too. And then coming home, but I just found it interesting that a lot of times people just I don't know if they have an awareness to it or if they're just deflecting, that they just don't feel, like you said, there's so many different ways to look at that. It's never just one thing, really. It may never be just one thing. It may be more than one thing going on for the person.
Yeah. I want to go back to that, if everything's going really well with me, I could have different effects on people. You could look at me like, wow, look at what she's doing. And if I'm seeing this in her, then I know it's in me. So an encouragement or hope, shedding light on it, that, lighting a pathway for you. And another thing is, and that's what my mentor told me. She's like, don't skirt your achievements or your celebrations, and it really comes down to judgment, right? That
Yes.
Somebody's going to judge you in a certain way based on what you're celebrating, because that's taking away from my energy. So I'm dipping my energy lower so I don't make the other person feel bad about themselves, in so to speak, right? And I can't make them feel that way. However, if I have celebration, if I have great things going on, then it is up to me to hold that energy, to hold that vibration of it, because that's where we want to be. That's where we want to be more often. So it's been a process for me to learn that, really. I was in a mastermind group for a year, and we met twice a month. And every week, or every session, my intention was, because I was learning to celebrate my wins. Didn't matter how big or small they were. And so each person, there was 12 of us, each person got to talk about anything and whatever they wanted to talk about for a short amount of time. And I would start mine off most of the time with celebration. And I did that for a few sessions, probably like for 2 or 3 months. And then I was like, all the other ladies would come and it was the heavy stuff that they were talking about, whatever was they were struggling with. And then so I got in my head, I'm like, oh my gosh, every time I come, I'm talking about all these wonderful things and celebrating, and they're all struggling. And I have my own struggles too, I'm not gonna lie. And so for a few sessions, I stopped starting with a celebration. I would just go right into struggle. And my mentor recognized it. And she called me out on it. And I told her why. She's like, she goes, don't ever dull your light because of the way somebody else's life is going. Because you are the light. You are, you're lighting that path.
Exactly. And then you have set your intentions, or you have desires, and you're creating those desires. And by doing that, it kind of slows down your progression, or it starts making it matches somebody else, because we feel like we got to fit in. And I understand that conversation, because it's so easy to get into that space, especially when you're in that energy a lot, or in groups like that. It's so easy to get into that space because you think that's the way you've got to show up.
Right.
And that's where it's, remembering to step in our own power, to stay in that power. Honestly, recently I've had a person, and I kind of was torn about how I wanted to approach it, if I wanted to see the person, because I had that breakthrough, I guess we could say, that it's like I'm only seeing, these I said it's about to say these kind of people, but people that are more on the spiritual path. But then it's me having and honoring that this person's showing up on my path for a reason. And this person's like, well, yeah, but it has nothing to do with energy, because I believe everything has to do with energy. And he says it has nothing to do with energy. I just have pain. I just want to have a massage. That's all, which is great. But I also know that I'm on a different path. So it's like, for me, I was kind of struggling with that, because I can still, for me, it's to still do the massage. What kind of came to me today was still do the massage. I can still show up and be my best, just by being there and being open, but I'm still going to be myself. I'm not going to change myself. And if that person doesn't care, because it's the same thing, I'm not going to fit into what they think that I should be, because this is me. This is who I am. This is how the information comes to me. And I've learned not to restrict it. And the more that I just freaking let it all come out, like, there's so much crazy stuff. Like, it blows my mind. Even today, I'm seeing somebody and I'm like, man, I know her husband passed when she was, early on. And all of a sudden I see an American flag, and I just asked her, I said, your husband had passed, when you were young. I said, was he in the military? And she said, yeah. And I was like, okay. So for me, that was just confirmation. I didn't have any other information besides that I heard I heard someone talking that was like, I don't know, kind of more the take charge, and this is the way things are, and we're going to get this done. And I just kind of got that kind of a energy about the whole thing. But I didn't say anything about that because I didn't realize till afterwards. But I've just gotten to the point not to filter myself. And so for a moment, I think when this person says, well, I'm just having this problem, and he's not wrong. If he thinks it's just back pain, then it's just back pain. From my experience, it's never just back pain. It never is. It will never be. It's never just. There's always a reason. There always. I mean, I don't think that there's any reason. That's just my belief. There just always is a reason. There's always something energetically going on, whether the person's aware of it or even wants to be vulnerable and discuss it and move through it. So it was just for me to know that, to stand in my power, just like you were saying, it's just to stand in your power and still be in that space of joy and still be in that connection, that these little things kind of come around to kind of it feels like almost like a test when it happens. And it's just recognizing that's what it's shown up for, because I'm still just going to be myself. In the past, I would have oh, I would have probably been like, oh, okay, yeah, we should just get that taken care of and we'll see how you feel afterwards, or, whatever. I would have just stepped into that routine of not being who I am just to accommodate someone else or to make them feel better.
And honoring where they're at.
Yeah, it's true.
And there's a couple things with that though, is you using your voice helping him to know that I don't just do massages.
It's true.
And anybody who has recommended you would probably express that to whoever they were doing the recommendation to. Right? So I would be sure to do that for sure. I'd be like, okay, we're gonna go for a massage, and
Yeah.
and there's
Stuff's
bonus.
gonna come up. Yeah, stuff's gonna come up. I mean, that's just the way it is. If I'm in your energy, stuff's gonna come up.
Yeah, and it's really up to him. It's really up to you as well. Do I continue providing this service to this person? Or is it better that, because they are benefiting from being in your energy for sure and receiving the massage, no doubt. Is it beneficial for you to have him keep coming, or is it giving him a referral to somebody, here's somebody who may be better for you, better suited, another masseuse who's better suited for what you're looking for? It's like just learning to navigate that. And who knows, he might see you 2, 3, 4 times and then open up. We don't know.
It's true. It's true. And that's kind of where I was torn. So just like you were saying, that's kind of where I was torn at. Really, it's like, do I refer him? Like, this is just me, because I feel like if it's not going to benefit him, then that spot could benefit somebody else. You know what I mean? But like you said, it's still a benefit regardless of how you look at it. It's still going to be a benefit. It's just whether that person's able to receive it or will receive it at that time or not.
And you could just move through, again, just letting him come, and he might decide like, yeah, I'm not feeling it with this chick, I don't know, she's kind of woo woo weird for me. Right? So
yeah.
he might
Well,
just go on.
Yeah, because he was kind of laughing and joking it off and being kind of, I don't know, just what it kind of hit like a little bit of a trigger for me. And it's like, no, I'm not just going down that path. I find this, I'll laugh it off and we can have fun, as far as that goes. But it's like, I take this seriously, because to me, there's such value to it. It's up to, and then it's like, I wonder, why is it showing up in my experience, right? Because we've talked about before, having the ideal client. What does your ideal client look like? And, what are they receptive for, or what are they open for? So it's like, he's in my experience for a reason.
Yeah, it's one of those things to clarify what you don't like.
I get that. We'll just leave it at that. So.
Yeah. Because those
I value
people
my
still show
time.
up too.
Yeah, I value my time. I think that's where I kind of come up, where I kind of feel the way that I feel about it, kind of iffy about it, because I value my time. And I don't want to, what I mean? I want someone that comes in that's going to value that time as well, because it's important. It's like I said before, it's for me, it's not just massage. Massage could totally be eliminated from the whole picture.
Yeah, for sure. And we've shared that before. It's just a modality for them to come to you.
Exactly. Which I don't know if we talked about it. Did we probably talked about it after we recorded last time. All these things. So last time when we were talking, I think we got off the phone and then we were having our conversation. And we were talking about like all these different modalities that we've learned how, or maybe you did talk about it. You talked about, having the certifications and all that stuff. And then all it really was is creating doorways for people to find their way, another avenue to us.
That's what this is.
Exactly. It's just another way. And all along we've been creating all these different avenues.
Yeah.
To be healers, because that's, even in the form of writing, is healing. All of it's for healing.
And it could be too one of those things where, his ego is saying, I don't need help in whatever way that is, other than a massage, but his spirit led him, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll agree with that 100%.
Yeah. But it's
Yeah.
up to him to receive what he's being guided to receive.
Which is true.
So
Yeah. I can't hit anybody over the head and say, listen to me, this is what's going on.
so we want to like all the time.
But otherwise, everything's been going good. Really, I've been reading different stuff. I'm still reading the Convoluted Universe books. I've got just different books going on right now. So it's like I just exploring and see what comes forward.
Nice.
It's been a constant, it's just a constant evolution and energies. I will tell you, it's a great purging. Honestly, I feel like there's a great purging going on with people.
Yeah.
Letting go of stuff so that they can evolve.
Yeah. Yes. I think I talked about last week. I had several conversations about spirit while I was gone with people that I actually didn't really know.
Nice.
And how open the conversations were and how receiving, they were in a receiving mode of hearing what I had to say. And the dynamics of all the people that I saw. It's always interesting to me. And just being aware again of my own energy. I got the stuffiness going on. I know why I have it. I know why I got triggered. And it's getting better. So I'm addressing that. So the sinuses, when you're stuffy in your sinuses, is an indication that you're allowing somebody to irritate you or a situation to irritate you. And so, yeah, I encountered a person who reminded me of somebody else and I let it trigger me. And it was an immediate response and immediately I recognized it, but it was still, I feel it was still strong enough response that I let it settle in. So,
which is still awesome because it's when we get triggered, it's an opportunity to evolve. Really, it's a choice right then. We have a choice right then, and I think it's awesome that we still have triggers. I really do.
yeah,
It doesn't always feel that way right at that moment, but it's like I find myself more in a questioning when something like comes up like that. I start questioning things. Why am I responding that way? And maybe immediately I don't recognize what's going on, but it's pretty quick that I pretty much know. And it's on an individual basis. It's at any given moment. Like it could be any given moment. But I see a lot of this going on with a lot of people, and I think sometimes lately people are really reacting to these triggers instead of moving through it, which is not good or bad. That's just how they're responding to it. But there's other ways. There's just a different way of dealing with it, and then just seeing things differently. I mean, I've been reactive a couple times too. So it's like then I have to find myself, and I've gone to my office. I've sat at my office and just like worked my way through like what's going on. What is this about? Working my way through things. And we've talked before about stuff coming up, being defensive. Defensiveness came up again, feeling I'm being attacked, and then reacting in that kind of fashion. And then recognizing that it wasn't if I slowed down enough and I'm going into meditation or however I'm getting my answers, I'm recognizing that it's like that wasn't true. It's not true. So it's like, why were you reacting that way? Well, because they hit a trigger, and it's like it's okay, but it's just for me, it's just moving through that stuff. It's moving. It's like I'm just shoveling the shit and throwing it over my shoulder. Don't need this anymore.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That's right. Thanks for showing up in my life because I don't need it. I mean, and that's the truth.
It's true for all of us. We've been carrying around so much shit that it's not even necessary anymore. It hasn't been necessary for a very long time, but it just becomes comfortable and it's known and you know what to do with it. you just keep shoving it down, right? Stuffing it.
Yeah, because then I even started asking myself, you like I'm like, I told myself the other day, I was like, you like this. You like this right here. You like this. It becomes a challenge or becomes something familiar. It becomes whatever it is, whatever was going on. I recognized it. But it's at the same time, I was like, no, don't need this anymore. I'm done with you now. Thank you. Thanks for showing up.
Yeah. And that's
So
important for people to hear too, is to say, you know what, thank you for showing up. I'm glad I showed up that way because I see how it's still within me. It's still something to look at and heal.
it's not for me to be angry at, because then the more we push against something, the more that it shows up in your experience.
Yes.
And then the words, gosh, the words that we use so often that, I mean, I have used in the past, and how we freaking keep ourselves on this freaking merry-go-round or hamster wheel. It's like you keep yourself on that space until I recognize it. And it's like, again, thank you. Because I don't need, I'm better off without those kind of behaviors anymore, which is why information I feel like is flowing even more so now than it ever has, but I'm listening more too.
Yeah. That takes practice.
Oh, yes, it really does. And it's checking in with the body. Like we go back to the person with the back pain. It's like you have to ask yourself these questions. And some people don't feel comfortable even asking themselves these questions. And it's like then it's like, well, have you questioned yourself why that feels uncomfortable? Because it's really, like we've talked about before, we're only guiding people back to themselves. That's it. That's it. Because we're learning that journey. We're on that journey right now.
Yep.
That's how we can practice this. That's how I can even tell anybody any of this stuff.
And it doesn't mean we have all the answers. We're just telling you
No.
what we have experienced and what's helping.
Yeah. Because we are getting answers, though. That's the thing. We are getting answers because we're listening.
Yes.
And that's the difference. And like you said a few minutes ago, it takes practice. It's just practice listening. I was listening to Jason Estes this morning. I think it was an old recording, but it's just like practicing a dialogue, having conversations with your own body. Like, what does it need? How is it feeling right now? Just, touching base, like with yourself. It's like we do it with someone we haven't talked to for a long time. I can guarantee you, most people haven't talked to themselves or checked in with their body, because our body is serving us in so many ways. Without it, we don't get to have this physical experience.
Right. And people, so many, act like their bodies are against them.
It's true.
And it's like, no, it's not. It's just reacting to what you're putting into it through the mindset, through your emotions, through whatever you're physically putting into it, and your spiritual connection or disconnection.
Yeah. The conversations you're having with it, what you're saying about it. Like there's so many different things. And it's like, it's not even true. It's not, but I get it. I mean, I understand it. I've been there, done that. Got the t-shirt, moved on.
Moving on.
But that's like the whole process with all of it. Because we talked about recently how, just our vibration's naturally a high vibration. It's natural. It's all this other stuff that we're carrying along with us that's not natural. All these beliefs, all these titles. It's just kind of crazy. It's like I don't even want to say what gender I am anymore, and it has nothing to do with the gender movement. It just has to do with I am a vibrational frequency, and it blows my mind because I'm in a place where I recognize how we are all the same. We are all connected. You're just another representation of myself. However I'm showing up in the world, however I'm treating myself, that's what's showing up around me. Like all of it is all connected, and that's me. If I'm giving advice to a child or talking to another person, I'm giving advice to myself. I'm talking to myself. I just find everything so fascinating, which in my dream that I had this last night, I've been having some strange dreams that I'm remembering again, that I'm catching on to, but it was talking about there's no me anymore. It's we. That's what I was told in the dream. There's no we anymore. There's no me anymore. It's we. It is we. It's for all of us. I have someone coming in today and they're talking about the stuff that's going on in the world. And I said, we can look at all that stuff and look at it as if it's horrible and that, recession, and that you could look at all that stuff as if that, or maybe that's the way it looks to someone that's holding on to things that the way they were. Because what if we're progressing to a whole new vibrational frequency? We can call it 5D, you can call it whatever you want to, but what if we're going into a different time-space reality that what we value now will be different than what we valued then? And maybe that's more of a shedding or letting go of those things and circumstances, places, people, whatever. It's just letting go of that stuff. It doesn't have to be like this. There's so much fear that's put out about everything, and it doesn't have to be that way.
It's like you're talking about the identities. I lead people. Typically, when I do a workshop or retreat, I lead them through an exercise where we release the layers of identities. So, mom, daughter, mother, sister, sister-in-law, aunt, friend, coworker, like we're just releasing all those layers. And when we do that, then the final question is, what's left? And like you said earlier, we're just providing being guides of bringing you back to who you are, who you truly are, your true essence. And when you release all those identities, spirit is what's left. Nothing more, nothing less. It's spirit. Spirit is love. Spirit is energy. And it's there all the time. And then it's allowing yourself to let that spirit shine bright, letting the light shine bright.
Yes. Because we are everything and we're nothing at the same time. We can be whatever title we want. So it gets, when I've been going through this process, it gets kind of like when I have myself talk like I am a healer, but I'm not. I'm energy. I'm more than that. I'm not just, you know what I mean? So it's like it goes with the conversation changes. I start looking at it differently. And then it's realizing just showing up. It doesn't matter. We can go back to the conversation about having all these titles and these certificates and, all these schooling that we've gone through. And it's like, that all didn't matter. It may have given us confidence. It may have given us experience. So when I say it doesn't matter, as far as the piece of paper goes, I don't hold attachment to any of that stuff anymore. That's not important. What's important is like how we show up in every moment, how our vibration is. And the most important thing I feel like we came to this experience was to focus on ourselves, because focusing on ourselves helps everyone else to heal too. Because I feel like there's so much I feel like most people are going through these experiences because we're letting go of so much stuff that was karmic, generational karmic, just any type of karma you can think of. It's that time of letting go. It's releasing it.
Yeah, and there's so much more healing going on.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing that in my experience where, I've been doing this for years, and now it's the extension of me, of family and friends that are doing their process too. And it doesn't mean I'm better than them because I started before they did. It's a celebration that it's happening. It's
Yes.
a celebration that more and more people are doing it. And kudos to the men who are allowing themselves to be vulnerable enough to step in on that journey as well.
Yeah. Because a lot of times they haven't even been permitted to even have those kind of feelings or have those kind of conversations.
Yes, they have to be the strong ones. They have to provide. They have to um, make sure the family's taken care of. They don't got time for themselves. They don't got time for uh, therapy, right?
Yeah,
Uh, and to put themselves first has never been an option. And if you think about it, it hasn't been an option for women either. Women have always had to put everybody else first.
absolutely.
The man's putting the family first through his work habits, and the female is putting the family first because she's the one that headed the household.
It's true. So it's like there's all the sacrifice around, huh? Was.
Everybody's been sacrificing for decades,
Yes.
centuries,
Yes. Yeah.
really.
And it's learning to let go of that. Gosh, do you remember when we first started talking about a lot of this stuff and we would have to justify it? And I say have to, but because we really didn't have to, but we would say, well, I'm taking my time. I'm taking my me time. This is me time. This is important. I'm doing this. And now it's not even, I don't even have that conversation anymore. I just freaking do it.
Yeah.
It's not a conversation. I don't, and that goes back to the whole conversation with this other person that I feel like it is ego driven, but it's like I don't have to prove myself. And that was the big deal too. It was recognizing that I don't have to prove myself. The truth does not have to prove itself. Period. It doesn't. And then I felt like I was that kid again that was getting into that place. Like I felt like I was gonna, I like almost like I was gonna like, well, do you understand how what energy is all about and everything else? And it's like I don't have to prove anything. I don't have to prove anything, which is it's a wonderful place to be in.
And it's proving yourself to so that you can feel accepted.
Yes.
And you want him to,
And it's good.
it's, it's like, I don't need to prove myself to you to
Yeah.
need your approval or acceptance because I already got it. I already
Yeah.
have it. It's already in me. I accept me. I approve of me. I believe in what I do.
Absolutely. I love that.
So it's just
But
that trigger that showed up for you to recognize
yeah.
that piece.
Yeah.
I don't need your approval, brother, sister.
Yeah. That's funny because it's like when it, so we talk about this when something shows up and we don't understand it. That's why we have these conversations too, because it helps to get another person's perspective and to see things. And then inside yourself when you're having the conversations, or even when you say something that it resonates. It's like, oh, okay, that's exactly what's going on. That's exactly it. Now I understand it better without having any emotional attachment to it at all. It goes back to that whole same thing again because people are going to show up in my experience and they're going through their stuff. And it's for me not to, even though, because I believe that we're all empathic. Depends on to what level that you've given so much attention to it. Because I feel like I had given so much attention to it. So I feel like I'm a pro in a lot of ways in that direction, but it's not necessary anymore. It's not necessary for me to feel all those things, not for me to take that on, but it's necessary. It can be necessarily helpful when I'm communicating with another person of what I'm feeling from them, just to help them move forward.
Yeah, that's great. We're here to feel. We're here to be
Yes, we
emotional
are.
beings.
Yeah,
And whatever you're feeling, whatever you're going through, you don't need to have it validated. It's okay. If you're feeling, if you're treading the mud in your emotions and you're hearing this video, Bev and I are here to show you that there is light, that there is a way out. There is more to life.
yes,
And if you're high vibing, we're here to show you that that's a great place to be as well. So it
yeah,
doesn't matter. And anywhere in between those two states, we are spirit in a human body, yes, but we're in this human body to feel, to experience. And no, not all circumstances are ideal. Not all experiences are fun. However, if you can be in that space of recognizing what you can learn from it, what the value is in it, how you can utilize that to grow and expand and continue to move forward, then you do the best you can right now in this moment and keep getting better.
Absolutely.
There's not one successful person on this planet who has not had adversity, and that adversity is what they learned from to keep going. So if you think your adversity is the end of the world, it is not. That adversity may help, may be what you needed to grow and expand and help others.
Absolutely. Everything always has a reason for why something happens. You know, I had someone recently, and we could go energy wise, but as far as like health wise, she was having some issues. She was having low back pain. She's had a couple of surgeries, like 3 surgeries of the low back. She's going to the doctor to get seen for all this stuff. And I can see where stuff's going on, but I wasn't going the whole energetic thing. We've already had, her and I have already had those conversations, but we talked about, you know, so many different things. And of course, she finds out that she actually has a blockage, which I find interesting, because this is the person that I had seen today. And then of course I'm seeing her military husband from when she was younger that died in an automobile accident. So she had the blockage, was on the right leg and stuff. So there's probably some things that she hasn't moved forward through the loss of that, because she had 2 young children at the time too. But it's like, to be aware, so her experience is going to be able to help her talk to somebody else, like, oh, those symptoms you're having, I was having those too. That was a blockage, you know, letting know there's always a reason. Sometimes, like you said before, only people can only receive it the way they can receive it. And for her, at the stage where she was at, it may be just expressing the symptoms, because that's what helps her get through it. And now we're doing the same thing, but we're bringing it to more of an energetic level. So you don't have to even go through the whole surgeries and everything else, because things can be healed. Now, I know you've had an experience with somebody that had a blockage when you were doing Reiki, and you guys had, she also had told me about this, but you, during that session, which it was the ideal session, right? It was both great for both of you, but she received a healing and that blockage was removed, because when she went in to go have, you know, have an ultrasound or something done, they noted that there was no blockage there anymore. It was completely gone. So we know that there's other ways to evolve through it, but it's only ways that people are willing and able to receive. And that goes back to the same thing. If you think a doctor is going to heal you, then that's the only thing that's going to heal you. You need to get to a doctor. If you think that an energy, for me, if something goes wrong with me, I'm freaking calling you. I'm calling up any energy healer I freaking know, and I'm getting stuff handled. Because if I can't see it from where I'm at, then I'll take the help from somebody else that helps guide me. Still the same thing, because I'm asking for a guide to show up, a teacher to show up. And there's always a reason for these experiences, why they're happening. It's just questioning, what can we gain from this? We can go back to us being abused as children or any of that kind of stuff, and then asking, what did I gain from that? Well, I gained strength, I gained voice,
Courage, determination.
Yeah, we could go on with the list for a lot of things.
Right.
Once I got out of victim mode.
Right.
Now, that was the only way I could see this stuff, because I couldn't see it from being in the space of victim.
But I knew I had the perseverance to keep going. And I attribute that to my spirit. I think my spirit was way more powerful than I was as a human. And the perseverance kept me going. Just one more, just keep going. That was my mantra. Just keep going. Just show up, keep going. And I think that's the biggest thing that helped me get through a lot of what I went through. Not saying that I wasn't in my head a lot, that I didn't play the what if game. What if all these horrible things happened, and put myself down for getting myself into those positions, or whatever the case may be. But the perseverance kept me going. And had I ever given up, I would not be here having this conversation with you.
Absolutely.
And through all of what I've been through, I have touched hundreds, if not thousands of lives. Probably more than I could ever imagine, because it's a ripple effect. If I help Bev helps her from what she learned. She helps her daughters or friends or family, and it just keeps going. And so it's adversity can be a beautiful thing if you allow it.
It's true. Because it helps with
Fun. I'm
growth.
not gonna say it's fun or it's easy.
Oh, no.
I'm not gonna sugarcoat any of it. This shit sucks. Let's just be real. It sucks,
Yeah.
but it's also beautiful.
Yeah. When you're on the other side of it, and it's just checking in, really, it's just really feeling, like you said, it's just feeling things. And I feel like we can do a lot of this stuff without having to go through a lot of the trauma, the death or transition of all these things, that there's no such thing as death. And I mean, we can get caught up in those paths and feel all that stuff, but it's like it can be something so easy as just sitting and enjoying the food. You've walked us through, some of us, whoever is listening to this right now, and if you haven't, find someone that does guide you during these meditations. But just to even like to bite onto a strawberry, to feel it in your hands, to feel it when it touches your lips, to feel it when your teeth touch it, to feel it when your mouth touches it, feel how it affects your taste buds, all these things. And then once you even get to the part where you're chewing it, to feel that, to swallow it, to be so, it gets you so right now. All of it is so exactly right now, what exactly is happening in your life, everything you're experiencing. It's awesome. It's awesome. But the thing is, most people don't slow down enough to do those things. But if you can do it 5 minutes a day on anything, just feeling it, man, when I sit and brush my hair, I love the way the bristles feel on my scalp. I'm like, this just feels, I'm just relishing it. I'm enjoying myself every moment while I'm doing it. And for me, it's to be in that practice for everything that I do. And even if something's hurting, I was reading something recently, and it says that we don't have to feel pain, but we think that it's got to hurt because we're bleeding or there's something happening. But there's been people that have learned to be beyond a lot of that stuff. And then it's like you can see things differently. And if we don't have an attachment to it, I imagine that healing would be so much quicker. I just feel like there's a lot that entails with that whole process.
Yeah. When you talk about that, though, that also it's a belief in the need of suffering.
Yeah.
That I need to be in pain. I need to be suffering. I need to be hurting because of whatever the stories are from the past. And I've thought about that too. I'm like, I've cut myself, and at first it doesn't hurt, but then it's like a trigger, and you realize you cut, and then it hurts, right? It's like, did it really hurt, or did I just bring that hurt onto me?
Yeah.
That pain, so yeah, it's interesting.
It is. And it's just, well, it's an individual journey. Some people came here because they didn't feel maybe in another lifeline. So they didn't feel, so now they're going to feel everything.
Right.
We try to overprotect ourselves. So in a lot of ways, because we're afraid to feel a lot of things. We've learned, I guess, in this life, and when we shelter ourselves from feeling anything that bad or anything, then we're sheltering ourselves from everything. Like the good stuff, we're not feeling anything. You're like, you keep yourself separate when it's like, it's such, like you said, it's a beautiful thing. Not always is it beautiful when you're in it, but once you've walked through it, you can look back and be like, wow, look at how much I evolved, how much I've grown from that.
Yeah.
Because of it.
And that, I know you like in this book, that 20 women that shared their stories of adversity and how they overcame it and what helped them. Right. So this is a book that's going to touch countless number of lives and be a ripple effect in that. So again, we come back to the modalities. How can I help people? In what ways? And this is another avenue. The video, the podcast is an avenue. The posting on social media is an avenue. The classes, workshops, retreats is an avenue, right? So there's so many, and there are so many people. It's not just Bev and I. There are so many people on the planet right now that are teaching all this stuff. It's really about who are you resonating with? Who is speaking your language?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that's important.
It is. Because if they're not speaking your language, then it's like it feels uncomfortable to listen to.
Right.
It's funny, I stopped to a little store here in town for something, and it's like the energy that was in there made it feel, I'm processing this because it was like, wow, it felt so loud in there and it felt so grating on the system. I mean, it was like, and then I just stopped and kind of took inventory of what was going on, who was around, how they were feeling, just really checking in with my environment, but really feeling it, but not feeling it like before. I'd have been like, oh shit, I got to get out of here. And now it's like, no, I'm just feeling it because I don't have to take it, and I'm recognizing it. There's a reason that it showed up in my experience, or had shown up in my experience. But it was just for me, it's for me to feel it, for me to have that experience. And it's a lot of times it might be that person needed to be seen and heard, whoever's in there, just looking at them and smiling. So maybe it's not a book that's being distributed right to her, or maybe it is. But it's like it's being there and being able to hear the person. And the lady was talking about, aging. Oh girl, you don't want to get to blah blah, the conversations that people have. And it's like, yeah, but what if it could be so different than that?
Right.
Because you've had that in your experience, that's the way it's supposed to be.
Yes. And I agree. I've heard that a lot. Oh, it's hell when you get old. I'm like, doesn't have to be.
Yeah, it's like, you hear the conversation you're having? Yeah. Yeah, it's like, I don't think so. I'm not eating that for dinner, thank you.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So crazy.
When I was getting ready to leave Wisconsin to come home on a flight, one of the let's see, she would be my niece. She said, well, hopefully your flights don't get canceled. I'm like, hey, we don't talk about that. We say, I'm going to have an amazing flight. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be great. Everything's going to be perfect. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was. Everything was, I had the stuffiness, but flights were on time. Everything was good and smooth. It's like,
Perfect.
No. I don't use that language.
Oh, there's that judgment part, right? There's that judgment part. Okay. Well, maybe they didn't have it off. We've talked about that before. Maybe Bewitched and I Dream of Jeannie and Fantasy Island. Like, if anyone looked up these shows, maybe there was a little bit more information to those shows than people even let anybody else in on. Because we do have control over this. It's like sit and watch. To me, it's like sit and watch. If you want to look young and stuff, find who you think looks young and beautiful. Just like watch them and smile. Find pictures of yourself and enjoy those pictures. Like, see yourself in those. And I'll bet you start noticing, if depending on how much attention you're giving it, how things start changing for yourself. And of course, it depends on your energy. I was talking to someone today about this again. We can heal ourselves. It's the mind space that we want to be into. So if your vertebrae aren't healthy and your discs aren't healthy, well, then you can go, gosh, in this day and age, we can go online and find the perfect healthy discs you can look at online. You can look at perfect healthy vertebrae. You can look at those. I said, but the key is you want to find that space where you feel like you're in a great mood and you're happy and you're joyful, and then start seeing it. If you start seeing it as if it's not ever going to happen, that, gosh, you wish you looked like that when you were younger. Oh yeah, but that spine looks great, but it's not mine. The more you spend time with that energy, you'll never have what you want, because you're always advertising for what you don't want. So if you can spend the time to be in the space of joy, and then once you're in that space of joy, go and look at these things. And I've said the same thing, and I know you have too. There's no such thing in my world, there's no such thing as past, present, or future. That means everything exists right now. Everything. My younger self exists right now. My healthy self exists right now. There is no separation. And I can have whatever I want, but it's been what have I been advertising for this whole time?
And a person who is in my experience on a daily basis chooses to believe that because of the way he treated his body as a young person, is the reason for his way of being physically now. And
so it is.
and so it is for his experience.
Yeah.
And then here I am, the opposite of, it was at 40 when I declared the next 40 years or next half of my life or the rest of my life, whatever that might be, could be 90 or 100, till I live to, are going to be amazing. And I say affirmations all the time, right? And so I'm just feeding really good stuff to my body. And it's almost like, I feel like I'm aging gracefully. Like I feel good. I'm in a good space. I just physically and emotionally, I feel really good compared to where I used to be. If I had stayed where I used to be, especially mentally and emotionally, my physical body, I would probably look at least 10 years older than I am. Because stress does that to us, right? Stress is wow, it's strong if you choose to live in that kind of space.
But joy and love and happiness is so much stronger than that, if you allow yourself to experience those things.
Right. And all of it's a choice.
It absolutely is. It really is.
That's what we have to remember too, is everything's a choice. I know. It's like, what else do you there to say? That's it.
Yeah, because it's 100% true. It's everything that you do, the way you wake up in the morning, that's a choice how you wake up. When you go to bed at night, it's a choice. When you decide to be grumpy, that's a choice. When you just, whatever it is, everything is a choice. However you show up is your choice.
And there you have it. Tea time with Amie and Bev.
That's right.
Our words of wisdom. All right, my friends, don't keep us a secret. You know somebody who could use the information that we've shared today, and they may be struggling with their life and they need some light on their path. So be sure to share this podcast from whatever platform you listen to it on. We appreciate your time and energy for being here with us. Is there any last words, Miss Bev?
The only thing that's coming forward right now is that song, "To Know Me Is to Love Me," or something like that. I get better looking each day. Like, go laugh and enjoy and listen to that silly song. That's what I've got for you right now.
There you go.
Because to me, that's a light, you want to start creating something, know that you get better looking each day. You get younger and younger.
There you go.
Create your life.
That's it. All right, my friends. Thank you for being here. We'll see you next week.
Bye.